There are things about the chosen ones that the world will never understand, because even they, themselves, barely dare to speak them out loud. I'm talking about the kind of truth that burn quietly inside you, the kind that you feel in your bones, in your dreams, in the way your heart reacts when no one is looking. From the outside, you might look like anyone else. No special mark on your skin, no crown of light hovering over your head. But inside, you carry an energy that doesn't fit this world. You feel too much, you see too deep, and that depth has shaped the way you live, the way you love, and yes, the way you experience sexuality. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Because when people talk about spirituality, they paint pictures of peace, meditation, light. But what they never tell you is that light always casts a shadow. And for the chosen ones, one of the most intense, most secret shadows lives in their sexuality. Not the sexuality the magazines sell you. Not the shallow encounters the world calls connection. I'm talking about a force that goes beyond the body. A current of raw creation that runs through your veins, that shows up in your dreams, in sudden, unexplainable desires, in moments where your skin burns without a touch. It's powerful, it's sacred, and sometimes it's strange. For years, you've been told to hide it, to pretend it's not there, to keep quiet about the urges, the visions, the encounters that don't fit into normal. But here's the truth. Hiding it only makes the shadow grow darker. And today, we're going to bring it into the light. Because if you've ever felt that your desires are different, if you've ever wondered why your intimacy feels heavier, deeper, more complicated than anyone else's, you are not broken. You are not wrong. You are chosen. Before we begin, I want you to do something for me. If at any point in this video, something I say hits a nerve, if you hear a line and think, that's me, that's my life, leave a comment and share your story. You don't have to reveal everything, but your voice might help someone else realize they are not alone. And if you're new here, subscribe now, because what we are about to uncover will take you deep into truths you will not hear anywhere else. Stay with me, because in just a moment, we're going to talk about the first strange sexual habit of the chosen ones, a secret so taboo most wouldn't dare to admit it even to themselves. Imagine this. It's the middle of the night. The room is still. The world is silent. And yet, your heart is racing. Your skin is tingling. A wave of heat moves through you like a tide that comes from nowhere. You're breathing faster, your body reacting as if someone is touching you. Except no one is there. No one you can see. This is one of the strangest, most unspoken experiences many chosen ones have. Sexual encounters with beings from the unseen realms. Spirits, guides, entities. Sometimes even presences that feel as if they've crossed over from another dimension entirely. It sounds like fantasy to the uninitiated, a dream half remembered. But for the one living it, it's more real than anything that happens in daylight. It's not a typical dream. It's not random imagination. These encounters often happen in the space between sleep and waking, that fragile state where your body is still, but your soul is alert. In those moments, you might feel a hand trace your skin, lips press softly against yours, a whisper you can't quite hear, and then a rush of energy so intense it leaves you shaking. Sometimes it's tender, like being reunited with a lover you've known for lifetimes. Sometimes it's overwhelming, an energy that takes over, moving through you as if unlocking chambers you never knew existed. And here is where it becomes sacred and dangerous all at once. Sex is a portal. The physical act is only the tip of the iceberg. What happens in energy runs far deeper. And when a chosen one, whose spirit vibrates at a heightened frequency, is involved, that portal opens wider. Why does this happen to the chosen more than others? because your energy field is more exposed. You are already tuned into higher currents. Your soul emits a signal, a call, and not every being that hears it comes with love in its hands. Some come to heal, some come to guide, others come to take. Ancient traditions knew this. In deep tantric practices, in shamanic rites, in the moonlit ceremonies of temple priestesses, there were stories and warnings about spirit lovers. Some were seen as divine unions meant to awaken hidden powers. Others were seen as traps, feeding off the life force of the human they touched. For the modern chosen one, the problem is this: no one talks about it. If you mention it to most people, they'll laugh. If you tell certain religious leaders, they'll say it's demonic. If you tell a doctor, they'll call it a hallucination. So you stay silent. And in that silence, you either learn to live with it, or it begins to shape you without your consent. The truth? These encounters leave marks, not on your skin, but on your energy. Some wake you feeling lighter, clearer, as if you've been cleansed. Others leave you heavy, drained, and unsettled, as though something sacred was taken from you in the night. And here's the choice every chosen one must eventually face. Do you open the door to these experiences with awareness and protection? Or do you let the door swing open in the dark, hoping nothing dangerous walks through? Because whether you embrace it or deny it, one thing remains. For those who carry this path, the unseen is not just a place you visit in dreams. It's a place that visits you. And that's only the beginning. You want it. You imagine it. You even ache for it, that deep human desire to touch and be touched, to share warmth and breath with someone you feel drawn to. And yet, when the moment comes, something inside you freezes. It's not shyness. It's not insecurity. It's something far more mysterious. For many chosen ones, abstinence is not a decision. It is an invisible command. It is as if the soul whispers to the body, "Not now, not with them, not here." You can be standing inches from someone you care about, the atmosphere heavy with attraction, and suddenly the current just dies. Your body becomes still, almost guarded, as if an unseen guardian has stepped between you and the other person. To the outside world, this looks like coldness. Friends might ask, "Don't you miss it? Is something wrong with you?" Partners might feel rejected, thinking it's about them. And you? You begin to wonder if you're broken. But here's the truth. This is not about dysfunction. It's about alignment. The chosen one's body, the energetic body, not just the physical, has a way of sensing what the mind cannot. It feels the unresolved wounds, the hidden resentments, the emotional debris another person carries. And if that energy isn't in harmony with yours, the body will not open. It will shut the door before the first step is taken. And yes, this can last months. For some, it lasts years. It becomes a season of silence, where your bed stays cold, not because you've stopped desiring, but because your soul refuses to settle for a connection that isn't pure in intention and vibration. It's a sacred kind of loneliness, but it's still loneliness. Nights stretch long. You find yourself yearning for warmth, and yet knowing that forcing it would only leave you feeling emptier. And the world doesn't make it easier. Society worships instant pleasure, quick encounters, and disposable intimacy. But for the chosen one, intimacy without depth feels like betrayal of self. And here's the hardest part. You cannot explain this to everyone. The more you try, the more alien you feel. So you stay quiet, and in that quiet, you wrestle with your own longing. But there is a hidden blessing in this enforced abstinence. It is not just deprivation, it is recalibration. It's your energy field purifying, resetting, preparing for a connection that will not only touch your skin but your spirit. It's your soul insisting that when you finally give yourself, it will be to someone who meets you on every level: physical, emotional, karmic, and spiritual. Until then, you wait. Not in weakness, but in strength, because the chosen one does not give away the deepest parts of themselves just to fill a moment. They wait for the meeting that will alter the course of their life. And while this kind of abstinence can be painful, what comes next is even more dangerous to the heart, because it's not about avoiding connection. It's about being irresistibly drawn to the kind of connection that almost always breaks you. It starts quietly. You walk into a room, and before you even realize what's happening, your attention locks onto someone. Not because they are the most beautiful, not because they have the most charm, but because something inside them feels broken, and you can feel it. For the chosen one, this is not just empathy, it's not pity. It's an almost magnetic pull toward those who carry deep, unhealed wounds. Their pain calls to you like a familiar song, one you somehow know the lyrics to even though you've never heard it before. You tell yourself you're just being kind, that you're simply offering compassion. But deep down, it's more than that. The pain in them awakens something in you, not a twisted desire, but a profound urge to heal, to hold, to pour into them until they remember who they are. And so it begins. The connection turns intense quickly. Conversations stretch late into the night. You share secrets that normally take years to reveal. And when intimacy happens, it's heavy, charged. Not just a meeting of bodies, but an attempt to fuse souls. You're not just making love. You're trying to stitch their heart back together with every kiss, every breath, every touch. But here's the danger. When your love becomes medicine, you often forget that you are not their cure. You give more than you receive. You bleed into their wounds hoping they will heal. And sometimes they do. But healing doesn't always mean staying. Some of these wounded souls will leave once they feel whole again. Others will drain you until there's nothing left to give. And you're left wondering why it keeps happening, why you keep choosing those who cannot walk beside you in the long run. The truth? It's written into your calling. Many chosen ones were sent to heal, to carry light into dark places, to restore what's been shattered. But when mission and romance blend, the heart often pays the price, and the cycle is hard to break. Because the moment you meet someone whose pain mirrors your own past, the urge to step in feels irresistible. You see their scars and think, I know this road, I can walk it with you. But too often you end up walking alone in the end. This pattern leaves its mark. You learn love through exhaustion, through heartbreak, through the quiet devastation of pouring yourself into someone who can't pour back. And after a while you start to question yourself. Am I drawn to love, or am I just drawn to the rescue? That is the paradox of the chosen one's heart. It is both healer and seeker. And until you learn to guard it, the desire to heal can disguise itself as love. For most people, sex is just a physical act, a release, a moment of pleasure. But for many chosen ones, it is nothing less than a ritual. Not because they were taught to see it that way, but because their soul instinctively knows that intimacy can open doors to realms that no prayer, no meditation, and no ceremony can reach. This is not about casual encounters or indulgence. It's about creation, transformation, communion. For the chosen, intimacy often begins long before a body is touched. It begins with energy, with intention. Some will prepare a space as if readying an altar, lighting candles, cleansing the air, arranging crystals, calling on spiritual guides to bless the union. Others will enter with silent mantras, sacred breathing, or invocations that invite higher forces to move through them. Every movement, every breath, every sound is deliberate. A kiss is not just a kiss, it's a seal. A touch is not just a touch, it's a current of energy shifting through the body. In ancient times, entire spiritual systems were built around this understanding. Deep tantric traditions spoke of the orgasm as a portal. Shamans used intimacy as a rite of initiation. Priestesses would merge with their partners not only for pleasure, but to call down visions, blessings, and even prophecy. In these moments, the chosen one's body is not merely a body, it becomes a temple. And the climax is not the end, but the expansion. The energy released is directed, guided, toward healing, toward manifestation, toward breaking chains the soul has carried for lifetimes. But like all great power, it carries risk. Opening portals through sexual energy without consciousness is like striking a match in a forest. The fire can warm you, or it can consume everything. Not all unions invite light. Some call in forces that take rather than give. This is why many chosen ones keep this practice hidden. It is too easily misunderstood, too easily corrupted. In the wrong hands, sacred sexuality becomes manipulation, obsession, even spiritual bondage. Yet for those who approach it with reverence and self-mastery, this path becomes one of the most potent forms of transformation available in human life. It is the art of weaving desire and divinity into a single flame, one that can burn away the old and give birth to something entirely new. But there is another shadow to this story, one that is harder to speak about. Because while some chosen ones channel sexuality into sacred devotion, others find themselves drawn to desires so intense, so contradictory to their spiritual image, that they hide them in the deepest corners of their being. There is a truth the spiritual world rarely admits. The brighter the light someone carries, the deeper the shadow that follows them. For many chosen ones, that shadow does not appear in violence, greed, or cruelty. It shows itself in the most intimate spaces, in desires that clash with their spiritual image. These are the fantasies no one confesses. The cravings that make you question, how can someone so committed to light be drawn to something so raw, so primal? For some, it is the urge to dominate, to take control so completely that the other surrenders entirely. For others, it is the opposite, a hunger to submit so fully that every boundary is dissolved, to feel the paradoxical freedom of being completely claimed. To the untrained eye, these desires look like contradiction. But to the soul, they are something else entirely. They are unfinished stories. Many chosen ones have lived lifetimes of extremes. As rulers with absolute power, as servants bound by obedience, as spiritual leaders who renounced every physical pleasure, as prisoners to forces they could not escape. Those echoes live on in the body's memory, shaping desire in ways the conscious mind cannot always understand. In the safety of a willing partner, power and surrender become sacred theater. The dominant is not simply exerting force, they are holding profound responsibility, guiding the experience like a guardian of boundaries. The submissive is not weak. They are embodying the courage it takes to let go completely, trusting another with their most vulnerable self. When entered with trust, respect, and deep awareness, these dynamics can heal. They can rewrite the script of past lives, transforming old wounds into new strength. But when pursued unconsciously, they can spiral into obsession, emotional dependency, or cycles of harm disguised as passion. This is why so many chosen ones keep this part of themselves hidden. They fear that if the world saw this shadow, it would cancel out their light, that others would see only the fetish, not the depth beneath it. And so they carry it alone, another secret, another weight. But the truth is that the path of the soul is not made of light alone. Sometimes it winds through darkness, through spaces where surrender and control are not opposites, but two halves of the same doorway. And for the chosen one, that doorway often leads to transformation. Yet, whether your intimacy plays out in the realm of pure energy, sacred ritual, or the paradox of power and surrender, there is one common thread. It rarely fits into the normal map of love and desire that the world follows, and that difference has a cost, because it's not just the bedroom that is shaped by these habits. It's the way the chosen one moves through the world. From the outside, people might think the chosen one is simply picky or hard to love, but the truth is far more complex and far lonelier. Because when your way of loving, desiring, and connecting does not follow the map the world recognizes, you live as if in two realities at once. In one world, there is the ordinary rhythm of modern intimacy, quick attractions, casual encounters, relationships built on surface compatibility. In the other, your world, everything is heavier, more charged, more dangerous to the heart. For the chosen, a kiss can open an ancient wound, a touch can awaken a buried memory, an orgasm can shift the energy of an entire emotional field. This is not metaphor. It is reality for those whose sensitivity runs through their entire being. And yet, who can you tell? How do you explain to someone that your body does not respond like everyone else's? That you felt the emotional residue of a partner's past lovers lingering in your own skin? That you've had spiritual experiences mid-embrace that left you shaking for days? When you do try to explain, you're often met with disbelief or fear. Some are fascinated at first, drawn to the intensity you radiate, but they don't stay. They feel exposed, confronted, or simply overwhelmed by the depth you require. Others adore your light, but have no idea how to hold the shadow that comes with it. And so, over time, you learn to protect yourself. You stop opening doors that will only be slammed shut. You hide the parts of you that might scare someone away before they even understand them. But that protection comes at a cost: isolation. Because while the chosen one's deepest desire is to merge fully, body and soul, with another, they also carry the deepest instinct to guard that sacred space from those who are not ready. This leaves many walking a lonely path, not because they are unworthy of love, but because the world has been conditioned to seek comfort over truth, pleasure over depth, and the chosen cannot, will not, settle for a connection that does not touch the eternal. The result is a quiet kind of exile. You live among others, but you move differently. You crave connection, but you refuse to dilute your essence for it. The silence is not an accident. It has been cultivated for centuries, a silence so thick that even the chosen themselves hesitate to break it. In the spiritual world, there is a carefully guarded image of what enlightenment should look like: pure, serene, untouched by the rawness of human desire. The enlightened one is imagined as someone above temptation, their body quiet, their impulses dissolved into holy stillness. And so, when a chosen one admits to experiencing sexual longings that are strange, intense, or even shadowed, the judgment is swift. You've lost your path. You're not truly awakened. You're letting the flesh lead you astray. No wonder they hide. Because to reveal the truth, that their sexuality is complex, that it carries rituals, visitations, power plays, and deep emotional triggers, would be to risk exile from the very communities that claim to seek truth. But the taboo is not only spiritual, it's also human. Talking openly about sex is already uncomfortable for many. Add in the mystical, the paranormal, the ritualistic, and you step into territory that most people would rather pretend doesn't exist. It's easier to keep it hidden, to maintain the illusion that good spiritual people are untouched by these currents. This silence becomes a cage. It protects the image of the perfect chosen one, but it also suffocates the real person inside. The result is a split. The self that is shown to the world, and the self that lives in the shadows, carrying desires, habits, and experiences too risky to share. And the cost of that split is heavy. Because when you are forced to hide a part of your soul, especially one as primal and sacred as your sexuality, you begin to live half alive. You begin to believe the lie that your desires make you unworthy when in truth they are part of the vastness of who you are. The irony is that the very qualities the chosen are praised for, depth, intensity, spiritual sensitivity, are the same qualities that make their sexuality so intricate and, yes, so misunderstood. But here is the truth the taboo hides. These habits, these so-called strange desires, are not flaws. They are maps. They point to the soul's history, its mission, its wounds, and its power. Ignoring them is like ignoring a compass because you don't like the direction it points. And so the question becomes, how can a chosen one begin to live without shame in this part of themselves? How can they stop pretending and start integrating? The first step is recognition, seeing yourself clearly, without flinching. Chosen one, if you've walked with me through these truths, if you've felt the sting of recognition in even one of them, then you already know this was never just about sex. It was about the language of your soul, a language written in energy, in longing, in wounds that carry memory far older than this lifetime. For too long, you have been told to silence this part of you, to hide the shadow, to wear only the light. But light without shadow is not truth. It's a mask. And the path of the chosen is not about perfection. It's about wholeness. The strange habits we've explored are not stains on your spirit. They are signposts. They point to your depth, your power, your history, and your calling. They are not meant to be erased. They are meant to be understood, integrated, and transformed. Yes, there is danger in these depths. There are portals that must be opened with care, desires that must be handled with consciousness. But there is also beauty here, the kind of beauty that comes when you stop apologizing for the way you were designed and start honoring it. Because your sexuality, in all its sacred complexity, is not your enemy. It is one of the most profound instruments your soul has been given to heal, to connect, to awaken. So let the world misunderstand you if it must. Let them call it strange. Let them call it too much. You know the truth, that the shadow you carry is not a prison, but a source of power. When you embrace it, you don't just free yourself. You light the way for others who are still hiding in the dark. If any part of this spoke to you, I want you to do one thing before you leave. Share your thoughts in the comments. You never know whose life you might touch just by putting your truth into words. And if you want to keep exploring these hidden, transformative realities of the chosen ones, make sure you subscribe, because there are still deeper truths to uncover together. Until next time, thank you for walking this path with me, for daring to look into the shadows without fear. I honor your light, I honor your darkness, and I honor the courage it takes to be exactly who you are.